Thank you, Andrew. Millions of people have taken to the streets in what was initially a reaction to the lynching of George Floyd by the Minneapolis Police Department. In New York City, there have been multiple demonstrations daily for 3 weeks. But because the ruling elite were so unwilling to meet the simple demand of sending the killer cops to prison and bringing all who were involved to justice, the resistance and anger of the masses grew. And in these past few weeks, so have their demands. Defunding the police has now become a central demand and focus of the movement. But what exactly could defunding the police look like? In New York City, where I organize, the New York Police Department, also known as the NYPD, is so vast that if it were to be classified as an army, it would be the 7th largest army in the world. The City Council's 2020 fiscal budget has allocated the NYPD a whopping $10.9 billion. At the height of the pandemic, New York City Education Chancellor Richard Carranza announced that public education would face devastating budget cuts. $1.3 billion is planned to be cut from the already struggling budget, resulting in a teacher hiring freeze, further delay of expanding highly sought-after pre-kindergarten programs, cuts to pensions and benefits for teachers and staff, and the potential disappearance of college access programs. These items are still only a few of the areas affected. This is a stark contrast to the NYPD, which has seen a steady increase to their budget in the past decade. The pandemic was the rationale to cut education, but the NYPD budget has increased nearly 30% since 2010. Nearly half their budget alone is allocated to pensions. So please keep in mind that a cop with a long history of brutal terror, and yes, even murder, is still entitled to receive their pension. And when is the last time any of us heard of a police hiring freeze? In New York City, there are 60,000 people who are either in shelters or street homeless. The Department of Homeless Services lacks the resources to find adequate housing, as their budget is one of the lowest in the entire city. 1 in 4 people were not able to pay their rent on June 1st. And Governor Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio, and the City Council are fully aware of the repercussions of the so-called rent moratoriums. When they are over, we will see a huge spike in homelessness. As a result of the mounting pressure, the New York City Council has proposed $1 billion to be cut from the NYPD budget. But let's not forget that $1.3 billion was casually thrown out of the education budget in the midst of a pandemic when students needed it most. That is not enough. New York City right now is faced with unprecedented numbers of unemployment. The pandemic illustrated the effects of defunding public health, as numerous public hospital closures throughout the years could have resulted in the preventable deaths of thousands. And of course, we're going to see thousands, if not millions of families evicted from their homes if a rent cancellation is not declared. Social programs are always on the chopping block, but never the police budget. We need education funding, job creation programs, affordable housing. The City University of New York, which was once free, could see a tuition drop instead of an increase. This is all just to name a few. The politicians and corporate media will tell us that it's not possible. We're asking for too much. They'll try to convince us that crime will go up as a result of cutting the police budgets. But oftentimes, crime is directly linked to poverty or the criminalization of poverty, where small misdemeanors like jaywalking, spitting on the sidewalk, or selling loose cigarettes determine if someone lives, dies, or even ends up incarcerated. The real solution to drop crime is to dramatically cut the police budgets and eliminate a racist police state. Over-policing and mass incarceration have not stopped crime. They have only exacerbated it. Our people are no longer interested in lip service that barely offers us the crumbs of capitalism. This is a fight we have the strength and the power to win. Defunding the police is a stepping stone to defunding the capitalist class entirely. As Fred Hampton once told us, if we dare to struggle, we dare to win. Thank you.